Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. To my mind, this evening has demonstrated one thing very impressively. Once again, Volkswagen, more than any other automotive company in the world, represents strong and fascinating brands. We represent 12 brands that people trust because our brands keep their promises with their vehicles, their technologies, and their entrepreneurial responsibility. Strong brands embody sustained quality and trust. Strong brands give people a sense of orientation in times like these more than ever. Everywhere in the world, we are witnessing major challenges and uncertain times in political, economic, and in societal terms. And our industry, the automotive industry, is also facing fundamental change. The expectations that people have for cars and for a mobility group such as Volkswagen are changing at an ever faster pace. Digitization is bringing new and extensive tasks to our industry, for our vehicles, for our factories, and of course, in sales too. In addition to that, there's a huge variety of different drive systems, and we have to move forward with all of these concurrently. In addition to that, we have increasingly stringent CO2 regulations everywhere in the world, which are demanding from us a lot of creativity and investments worth billions of euros. So as you can see, the automobile and the automobile industry are changing fundamentally and for good. We at Volkswagen do not consider this change to be a threat. Rather, we think it's a major opportunity. But another thing is clear too. Since we're ushering in a new era, our industry and Europe as a location for industry is facing huge tasks. Here in Europe, fortunately, creating industrial economic value still plays a bigger role than elsewhere. And here in Europe, we still build the best equipment, the best machines, and above all, the best vehicles in the world. And we can be proud of this. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we must not allow a situation in which Europe's companies are prevented from being competitive in global competition. And ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, this risk is greater than ever before. Let me say one thing very clearly right now. We have no problem with ambitious rules and targets for more efficiency and for the preservation of resources. On the contrary, we at Volkswagen were the first and the only ones to publicly declare our support for the CO2 target of 95 grams by 2020. The path toward lower consumption and lower emissions is the right way to go. There is no alternative to it, and we fully back this up. And we're making headway on this path toward sustainability. But often, some people forget what gigantic engineering and economic effort is required for this. People forget how huge this effort is. And I'd like to say, ladies and gentlemen, very clearly, climate protection is not available free of charge. The Volkswagen Group alone invests every year more than 10 billion euros in research and development. And let me give you a concrete figure here. Every gram CO2 reduction in our fleet in Europe costs our group nearly 100 million euros per year. 100 million euros that we've got to invest up front without knowing when these investments will pay off. But at the end of the day, it's not companies and it's not politicians who will decide on the success of technologies and products. Ultimately, it's always the customer. And therefore, we and I are concerned when we hear people already calling for more stringent limits for the time period after 2020. They're already doing so now. Please don't misunderstand me. We are working full speed ahead to make our vehicles and our factories more and more efficient, greener, as it were. And we are prepared to meet more and demanding CO2 limits. But I'd also like to say it is too early now to have a concrete stipulation. Taking the third step now, before we even take the first one, would be fatal. Companies and politicians together must do their utmost now to achieve the objectives that have been established and make electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids a success across the board. And then, in a few years, people can judge objectively and calmly how current legislation has effect on companies and then what type of steps would be necessary. That's the only way that makes economic and environmental sense. It makes environmental sense, and it also makes sense for Europe as a location for industrial companies. Here in Paris, I'd like to objectively and soberly point out some interconnections that are the way they are, whether we like it or not. Companies can only invest in environmental innovation and sustainable growth if we can afford it. And if anyone forgets that, you are calling into question the competitiveness of our industry. For us, it's not an option. We at Volkswagen are doing our utmost to make our 106 factories around the world and our 580,000 jobs around the world future-proof. And we at Volkswagen will continue to rigorously and earnestly work to cut CO2 emissions. And for this, we're counting on the support of politicians. Ladies and gentlemen, the Volkswagen Group is facing up to the challenges of our day and age: electric mobility, energy efficiency, digitization, to mention just a few. And what's more, we have our big future program, which we call Future Tracks. And with this, we want to be the engine of change in the automotive industry. And this Paris Motor Show illustrates that we are working hard at this with vehicles such as the Porsche Cayenne E-Hybrid, the Passat GTE with plug-in hybrid, the most promising type of e-mobility, with the Audi TTS, which demonstrates how we can connect the car with other elements all around it, with vehicles such as the XL1 Sport, the T5 Beach Edition, the Skoda Fabia, and even Ducati motorcycles. They underscore the fact that the Volkswagen Group can engineer tailor-made answers to all people's mobility needs, and also with our Bentley Mulsanne Speed, our Bugatti, and our Lamborghini plug-in concept car. These exceptional vehicles prove that we work just as passionately on our big and powerful vehicles and are constantly making them more efficient too. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, the Volkswagen Group is putting the future into production vehicles now, and there will be many more to follow. And at the same time, we are working to safeguard the economic basis for all of these tasks for the future that I've mentioned, and we have to do so sustainably. And that's why in the group and at all of our brands, we have kicked off an initiative for more efficiency and profitability. And already today, after just a few weeks, we have identified numerous very promising ideas which will strengthen us on our path toward the future. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Volkswagen Group is prepared for change, and the Volkswagen Group is very robust and well-positioned for this. From January to September, for the very first time, we delivered to customers more than 7.5 million passenger cars and heavy trucks. And as a result, we are on the right track to reaching the 10 million level this year, this year already, 4 years earlier than originally planned. And therefore, too, I can say we will achieve our objectives for Strategy 2018. And in working toward this, we will do our utmost to keep people's fascination with automobiles and to keep Europe as an industrial location strong and alive. Thank you for your attention. Have a wonderful evening and have a great Paris Motor Show. Thank you.